Trust in the Lord, trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord, trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding. And trust in you. And I trust in you. Rest in the Lord. Rest in the Lord. Lean not on your own understanding. Rest in the Lord. Rest in the Lord. Lean not on your own understanding. And rest in you. And rest in you.
Hard times, they are trying times, times that test our faith and challenge our perseverance. When will it all end? How will it all end? Why so many trials? Why do so many of us experience heartache, break, and pain? Why? It would be nice for the eyes not to have to shed another tear, and this mind not to ever have to worry. It would be nice if everything always worked just the way we'd like, but this is not always the case. We always see the messy splashes of paint on this canvas, but he sees the bigger picture. Our huge issues are but blips on his radar. We blink and it's seconds, he blinks and it's millennia. And so we say, trust in him. And so we say, trust in him.
You're more than I need, my Lord and my Savior. You're everything. You're more than enough. You're more than I need, my Lord and my Savior. You're everything. You're more than enough.
Yes,
You're
Lord.
more than I need.
You're more than
My
we need.
Lord and my Savior, you're everything.
You're everything to
You're
me.
more than enough.
Tell
You're
him.
more than I need.
Tell
My
him now.
Lord and my Savior,
Good morning. Welcome to Gateway Church service. I'm Steve.
And I'm Ruth.
And we're hosting today. We're really pleased to be with you. And this next hour, we've got lots of things coming up, which we think you'll enjoy. And more importantly, we're coming together as what they call in the Bible the ecclesia. That's the gathered children and people of God. And we're really looking forward to being with you over this next hour. So we've got lots of things coming up. We've got worship with our very own Mark Thesinger, and we'll see him in a little while. We've got a brief Alpha update, which starts in a couple of days. We've got our very own Farmer Graham. I don't know what he's going to do, but I bet it's on the farm. And then we've got Mark Greenwood, who's the Elim Director of Evangelism, giving a talk. And he's going to be talking to all of us, really, those to pep us up about Alpha and to pep us up to encourage people to come to Alpha, and also to people to encourage them to come to know Jesus. So we've got a lot going on, and we're looking forward to it.
I wondered if there was any birthdays coming up. If there is, can you put them in the chat? I have a feeling that Sandra might have a birthday and possibly Richard, but the same little boy that told me that also told me it was Alison's last week, so that might be wrong. So can you just confirm it in the chat?
So if you're new to us, you'll see, if you're following on the church platform, on the right-hand side column, there's some chat boxes, so you can say hello, make yourself visible to us. We know you're there and we can chat with you. You can make observation, put questions in there, and someone, it will answer you, I'm sure. I suspect there's already comments going on, but do join us on that. Also on Facebook, you can follow us, and although there's no live chat function on that, you can private message, and again, we'll be able to get back to you on that. We have had quite a few live messages, messages coming through there from Facebook to us over the week, which we've been able to respond to prayerfully. So that's really good. So without further ado, I think we have Mark Thesinger waiting in the wings.
Hey,
hello, Mark.
Good to see you guys.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Yeah. So we've got the replacement for Richard and Judy this week, then, have we?
I'm waiting to see what name we get. What name we get allocated to.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What have you got for us this morning, Mark?
Well, the song that was on my heart was "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord," and particularly when you consider the way the lives are at the moment, and sometimes we can get caught up in our own little environment and our own world, and I think particularly with Alpha and the communities that we're living in, sometimes we don't always see what God wants to reveal. So it's a prayer this morning to say, Lord, show me what's on your heart. Let me not be selective on what I choose to hear from you, and because sometimes God will put a finger on something that He wants to touch us for, and so it's a great chance. And if there's anybody that may be watching and listening who haven't got a clue who God is, it's a great prayer that they too can pray, because they can say, well, Lord, just open my heart to you and let me see the reality of who you are. So it's a prayer for both Christian and non-Christian alike to know the Lord in a greater way.
That's a great one, Mark. It's really great having a worship leader to explain their choice of song sometimes, because it adds a real depth to it. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, mate.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't know the song, just let the words that I sing just minister to you. And basically it's open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. That's really the meat of what the prayer is. So just let it minister to you and sing it if you know it. And Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, oh, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, oh, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. And again, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. One more time, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. 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 Lord, we want to see you today. Open the eyes of our heart, Lord. Amen.
Oh man, thank you so much, Mark. Do you know, in all of this newness to me and Ruth being on screen and hosting, we forgot to pray at the beginning. But thank you so much, Mark. That was a prayer. I'm going to pray now. Lord, I thank you so much for the Apostle Paul's prayer in the New Testament, where he prayed that the eyes of our heart would be opened and enlightened, that we might know how wide and high and deep is your love for us. Lord, I pray for everyone watching this and everyone not watching this, who are part of our community and part of other Christian communities within your kingdom. Lord, I pray that the eyes of their hearts would be opened to know you more. And as Mark said earlier, to know what it is that you're putting your finger on in our lives and things that you're wanting us to do for you. Amen.
It's been 6 months since we've been at church together. It seems like ages. And it's really weird because there's some people I haven't seen for 6 months. And I miss seeing you guys. And there's people I've got to know. Some of you I haven't even met face to face that I've got to know on Zoom. I mean, it'd be so exciting to start being able to meet together as a church again. And though that will be not quite the same, Mark, Kevin and Teresa can give us an update on what that's going to look like.
Good morning.
Morning.
I kind of wonder how would I...
We'll go on that camera instead because we'll get Izzy in there as well then. Are you the new Piers and Susanna, or are you the new Dan and Naga from BBC? How do you want to be known as?
Do you know what? I'm not sure if it's up to us to decide, is it? I think that's what the public did decide.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be Ant and Dec. I mean,
What are you trying to
I don't
say?
know who they are.
well done, guys. You're doing a fab job this morning. Really good. Yeah, we just want to give an update, really. We've been praying about this. We mentioned it last week to the church that we'd come on this week and give an update. So Teresa's going to kick off with the first announcement.
Yeah, life groups. Life groups start back next week. Woohoo!
Excellent.
So some of them will be actually live, meeting in person. Some will still be online. So your life group leaders will contact you personally and let you know what's going on. But that starts back next week.
And you said there, Teresa, some of them are going to be meeting in person.
In person, in the flesh.
Wow.
Yeah, after 6 months. Can you imagine? Of course, it will be adhering to COVID guidelines.
Of course.
It's strange and amazing.
Absolutely. You know, who would have thought when we went into lockdown back in March that it would take us so long to come back out of lockdown to do things correctly. And also our prayer meetings, Teresa, they will be starting again soon.
They are. So that will be Monday nights for Bodmin Prayer and Friday nights for Launceston Prayer.
And that won't be this week. That's going to be the week after. Okay, we're bringing phasing things back in. But really, I suppose the bigger news that everybody is really interested in is when is church going to be meeting back again? And at this moment, we are working on that. You know, the scripture in Luke 14:25-33 talks about counting the cost of being a disciple. And actually, as Christians, as a church, we've had to count the cost of us not meeting and not being part of a body together. But we feel that we are now in a place where we can start to do that. And for instance, next Sunday, we're going to be joining up with some other churches, which Stephen Ruth will give some information shortly about, where we'll be meeting in public in Bodmin to have some sort of fellowship in the evening. Then from the 20th of September, we are planning on hosting the services live like we do now from the Gateway Centre again, which gives us as the team an opportunity to understand how we do things live and how we get used to this new normal. And what is really exciting about that is that we're hoping and we're praying that we'll be meeting in the upper room in the Gateway Centre. Last year we made the decision to come out of the upper room, the top floor, and into the ground floor to rebuild the foundations. But I believe it's really important as a church that we go straight back into the upper room, the refurbished upper room, where some of the guys have been working really hard behind the scenes to refurbish that room. And I think it's looking amazing already, and it's not finished yet.
Different, guys.
So that's going to be a real treat for when we get back into there, to actually have our own room again to worship in and to praise the Lord. And then from that, we're hoping either on the 4th of October or the 11th of October to start integrating people back in. Now, we did a straw poll back last week on our members page on Facebook, and we asked people, to be honest, would you come back? And if at this moment in time, and some people said yes, they'd come back tomorrow, others said they weren't ready to come back, and some said maybe not. And the real key for us then, so we had around about, I think from that, about 2/3 said they were willing to come back, and 1/3 said that they weren't quite ready to come back. And that's cool. You know, that's what we recognize. You know, we're hearing of other churches, even in our own county, who are big churches of 150 plus people in there, First week they came back, they had 24 out of 30 potential. Second week they came back, they only had 8 people. So we recognise there's still a huge group of people who aren't ready to come back or aren't willing to come back with the restrictions that are going to be placed on us to come back. So we're trying to phase this back in so that from the beginning of October, those who are willing and wanting to come back into a public collection of worship with us again will be able to do so. But we'll have more information about that. That'll either be on the 4th or the 11th. It just depends on some requirements from our end and documentations that we can get in place in time. So really exciting news.
Can't wait.
And as I say, unfortunately, it's taken us longer to come out of this lockdown than it did to go in. But we're trusting in the Lord, and we continue to worship, and we continue to reach out to many, many people in our communities. So thank you, church, for sticking with us, staying with us, and supporting us, because this is new stuff for Teresa and I. When we came back, you know, we've been back just over 15, 16 months now, and 6 of those months we've not actually been in the building. So, you know, we could never have anticipated that when we came back. So, you know, it's been a huge learning curve for us and for the elders as well. And you know, my hat goes off to those guys. They've been a real support and encouragement, and have really helped guide through the church in this season. So I know it's not to everybody's liking. I know everyone's not going to be happy with that, but we've got to find the middle ground where we as a church can continue to worship together in the new season ahead. So be blessed, guys. Have a great day. And I don't know about you, but we're really enjoying Steve and Ruth here at the moment, and we'll see what else they've got to share. So back over to you guys.
Thank you to all the pickup family. It's great to see you on your sofa. Those not all of you. So I want to give you a brief Alpha update. So we've got a joint activity, as you know, of 8 other Elim churches across Cornwall hosting an Alpha course. This is for non-Christians or perhaps brand new Christians who want to know more about the faith. So what you should have had is lots of Facebook notices in your feed, which we'd love you to share with your friends, colleagues, family as an invitation to them. Now they can sign up on alphacornwall.org.uk. So if you're watching and you want to do this course, alphacornwall.org.uk is where you can sign up. And there'll be a chance for you to allocate yourself to a discussion group in your most local area. So probably that will be Launceston or Bodmin, but it may not be. You might be watching from other places, and there might be a locality nearer to you. So the idea is that we come together on that platform, alphacornwall.org.uk, and we watch, sorry, it's not on that platform, we watch on a different platform, but it's a bit like this, like the church platform. We watch a film about Alpha, and then we go into Zoom discussion groups in that locality that you choose. So I believe we have a promotion video which is waiting in the wings. So could we hit that, please?
Is there really more to life than this?
How can I really be sure that God has forgiven me for everything that I've done in my past?
Why does it always rain in Cornwall?
How can I be sure there really is a God?
Why do you always make such a mess?
Hey, does it really matter what I believe?
Why does God allow suffering like COVID-19?
We've all got questions, so why don't you join us in exploring life, faith and meaning at Cornwall Alpha.
Brilliant. So for signing up, alphacornwall.org.uk. Tonight we have a prayer meeting at 7 o'clock, and that's on a platform like this. It's cornwallalpha.online.church. We would love you to join us. We've got people from around the county joining in. There'll be people in each locality leading us for about 5 minutes in prayer. So this is going to last an hour. It'll be fairly snappy. We're going to have Mark Greenwood also leading us in prayer, and Steve Ball, the regional director, leading us in prayer. And Kevin and I will be hosting. So we're really looking forward to seeing you there. Please join us. You know, Alpha fundamentally requires spiritual, it's a spiritual dynamic. Although it's very practical, there's a spiritual dynamic that we have to win if we're going to win people over. If we're going to win our guests to come in, we need to pray for them. We also need to be courageous, need to invite them. So please invite, push out those chairs. So, Kevin, do we have any Facebook comments? I'm not sure. If we do have Facebook comments, we should, hopefully, my hand's in the way of the camera, that's terrible, should come up on the screen. What does that say? It's been a while since I heard this song. I love it. Absolutely. Do you know what? Yesterday when I heard that song, I was singing it. I knew all the words off by heart. I could even do the harmonies. I could whistle it. I could do the rhythm. It was fantastic. So, Ruth, I believe you have something else coming up now.
Now, I've got to admit, this is one of my favourite bits always. It's Farmer Graham, a story from Farmer Graham. We're all speculating on when he's going to run out of stories. Over to you, Graham.
Well, good morning, everyone. And yes, the one advantage with being around for a long time is that you have more stories to tell. And I just want to tell you a little story. Oops, my phone's going off. I just want to tell you a little story of when I was younger, but I'm bearing in mind this morning about the Alpha course, which is the thing that we're trying to promote this morning. And, you know, I was thinking that, you know, when I was in my late teens, we were living at Newquay at the time, and I saw an advert in the shop window for a guitar for sale. And I thought, wow, you know, I could just imagine myself playing the guitar. And so I made inquiries, and I spoke to this chap called Steve. Funny name, I know, but yeah, he said, oh yeah, come around tomorrow afternoon and I'll sell you the guitar. So off I went the next day, and we met up, and he said, oh, he said, I'm terribly sorry. He said, I was a little bit drunk last night, he said, and oh, he said, I just about gave that guitar away. He said, I'm regretting it now. But he was a great character, and we really hit it off. And he said, well, I was of course disappointed that the guitar was gone, because, you know, people listen to like Graham Kendrick and things like that, and I could have been the new Graham Kendrick. Instead of Graham Kendrick, it could have been Graham Bates, the great guitarist, you know. And but there we go. And so we were having a good time together, and we made friends. And he said, well, what sort of music would you have been playing? So I said, well, I'm a Christian, and so I would be playing gospel music. Oh, he said, I don't know any of that, he said. And so what is all this Christian thing anyway? So I done my best to try and explain what a Christian was. And I said, look, at the hotel tonight, I said, we have a meeting. Why don't you come along and see what we're up to? So he said, can I bring a friend? So I said, yeah, of course. So anyway, he turned up in the evening, and they played a few songs, and he seemed to enjoy that. And then a man spoke, and he seemed to be taking it all in. And then about 2/3 of the way through, he got up, and then they ran out, both of them. I thought, oh, I was gutted. I thought, oh, I thought it was going so well. And I thought, oh, I wanted to ask him what he thought of it. Anyway, didn't see him again until the following afternoon. And he turns up, and he said, oh, I said, sorry about last night. He said, well, we had to get out. He said, that man was really getting to me. And he said, me and my mate went down to the disco to try and get out of our heads what that man was saying. And he said, you know, he stayed there till all night, he said. And so I said, well, what did you think about it? He said, oh, he said, I've got so many questions to ask. And he said, do you mind if I ask you some questions? And so I said, no, well, carry on. I'll do my best, see if I can answer them. And so he said, oh, he said, if I was to become a Christian, he said, what would you get out of it? I said, what would I get out of it? He said, yeah, he said, would you get special privileges from God if I became a Christian, or would you get promotion from the pastor, or what's in it for you? So I said, well, you know what church is like. They never give away anything. No, I didn't say that. I just said, I said, no, it's not in for me. Not in it. I'm not in it for what I get out of it. But, when you get something good and satisfying, you want to let other people know about it. Oh, well, that kind of made sense. But he had all these questions, and some of them were challenging to me as well. And I'd bought him this year music tape, which I thought he would like, and he did. And he said, I can't stop playing that tape that you gave me, he said. And off he goes down the street, and he was singing at the top of his voice some of this music on this from this tape. And I was embarrassed. And he looks around to me, he said, are you embarrassed? I thought, and I knew I was. I was very embarrassed. And he said, And I was challenged myself, because I thought, why am I embarrassed? If I'm too embarrassed to give the gospel out to people on the street, and that God can use somebody who isn't a Christian to sing his praises. And but challenges kept coming, and he came back to the hotel, and some of the girls were going out for the evening, and he said, oh, where are you going? And they said, oh, we're off to the cinema. So he said, oh yeah, what's on? So they said, Hell's Angels Go South. That's what we're going to see. And he said, I'll come as well. He said, but I've got to start work later on. But then I saw him thinking. The girls went, and I saw him thinking, and I thought, he said, did God have angels? And I said, oh yeah, God has angels. He said, and if they're Christians, he said, why are they going to the cinema watching Hell's Angels Go South? He said, you think they want to see what God's angels are up to, not what Hell's angels are up to. I thought, I said, well, I can't answer for them. I said, I'll ask them in the morning when I see them. And, all these challenges kept coming, and lots of these questions kept coming out. And, as we think about Alpha this week, many people might have questions on why they shouldn't become Christians, or what would it change their lives if they did become Christians? Do we have to pray to God every day, or whatever? And some Steve might not have the answers to all the questions that you ask, but I'm sure he'll give a very good try to most of them. And I always say, every question deserves an answer, because you wouldn't have asked the question in the first place if you weren't looking for an answer. So may I just help to promote this year Alpha that Steve and Ruth are doing this week. And if you haven't decided to join already, then please do. Thank you.
Another great story from Father Graham. Thank you. And this afternoon at 2:00, live from Father Graham's house, is Sunday school. All the children, if you want to join in, you're really welcome. If you haven't got the password, can you contact us?
So that's on Zoom, if you're new at this, and you'll have to get the Zoom details by asking us, perhaps in the chat, and we can let you have that. If you give us your details, we can pass that on to you. So next Sunday night in Bodmin, there's something special happening. We have the Bodmin drive-in service. So imagine all those American people driving into their cinema experience years ago. This is what we've got, only it's a church service, and it's with 4 other churches. So there's going to be live worship with our very own Mark Thesinger and John Reynolds, who I'm sure is banging the djembe or something like that, and Peter Malin. I don't know what Peter Malin's doing. I would love to know. I'm not sure what instrument he plays. I don't know, perhaps he yodels or something. But Peter, if you could let us know, that would be great. What is it you're doing? What is it you're playing? I would love to know. This is a great actual opportunity, not just to come together and worship, but also to be a great witness in the local environment for all the locals. Newquay have done this twice now, I believe, and their last one, which was a couple of weeks ago, is going to be on Songs of Praise at the end of September. So this is great stuff. It's really exciting, and it's going to be reaching loads of people. So join in, be part of the Bodmin Kingdom Massive, and display yourself out there for all to see. So next we have our tithes and offerings. Now, there's much I could say about tithes and offerings, but I'm going to say a couple things. Now, as we know as Christians, life always has a practical, earthy reality, and it has a spiritual reality. And so does our tithes and offerings. You know, every organization requires a few things. Often it requires membership. If you become a member, or if you're some lesser member, there's always something. And usually you have to give some money to it. Why? Because the organization has to function. And the same with church, same in the kingdom of God. If we're to function, we need to resource ourselves. We need to resource the work we do together as a family. Also, of our resource goes to helping each other. So that's the practicalities. Jesus said a lot about giving in the New Testament. And I know a lot of people can argue about the whys and wherefores of tithing and whether this was Old Testament law and legalism or whether you need that in the New Testament. But the bottom line is this: Jesus talked and taught about giving. And Jesus usually challenged people. He very rarely under-challenged. He would usually refer back to the law, and then he would refer forward saying, yes, we live in a time of grace. The law is no longer applicable. But actually, what I'm asking for is even more, such as an eye for an eye and a tooth for tooth was law. But Jesus says, but I say, love your enemies and forgive. Now that is a serious, significant challenge. In regards to giving, he taught us that on one hand, we're to give and not see what he says. Let the right hand give and not let the other hand know what it's doing. Now, I don't think he was teaching stupidity or recklessness, because modern teaching at the moment through the church is all about stewardship and how God expects us and requires of us to steward everything he gives us. And in fact, he doesn't give, he loans, because actually he owns everything. We could pretend we own our money, we could pretend we own our house, but actually, fundamentally, he gives it to us as a gift, but it's also kind of as a loan. Jesus also taught about the widow and her mite. So in other words, this lady came into the temple and gave these few coins, which practically speaking would have done almost nothing for anyone. But Jesus looked at her heart and he said, this is way more than anyone else has ever given, because she's given everything she has. And he commended her for it. He then bumped into a rich man, and the rich man was saying to Jesus, hey, you know, I follow all the law. What more do I need to do if I'm going to follow you? And Jesus said, pretty good. That's pretty good of you. Well done. How about you go and give everything you've got, sell it and give it to the poor? And the poor bloke, I mean, he was rich, but now he was poor in spirit because he realized he could not give up, or well, he didn't want to give up. Who knows? Perhaps he did in the future, but at that moment he didn't. He couldn't cope with that. That was too much. And then we see teaching from the Apostle Paul, and he teaches about, we see him talking to the Corinthian church about giving up an offering for the Jerusalem church who were going for a time of famine. And he teaches there that, one, he's commending the Corinthians and other churches for their heart of giving. And he talks about giving for the equality of the family so that those in need can be looked after. But the most important thing about giving is, and it comes out of this teaching from Paul, is that we give, and it comes out from teaching of Jesus, we give as if we are giving to God. Whoever we're giving to, whatever we're giving, however much, whatever it's to, we do it as if we're giving it in person to God himself. And it is part of our worship. Paul taught in that bit when he's talking to the Corinthians about this offering they took up. He said, Jesus gave his whole life. He became poor that so we could become rich. And so that often is used by people as a means of thinking they can use it as a formula to become rich because they give to God. But actually, God isn't saying that. He's saying, actually, as Jesus would have done, he challenges and says, actually, I've given you this much. Now go and follow what I've done. Give up your life for those around you. And that will be a beautiful act of worship to me. So I hope that wasn't too ranty. I hope it was useful. Can we take up our tithes and offerings? So I believe after this service, we have a Zoom meeting coming up. Is that right, Ruth?
Yes, that's right. And I think the address should be, there it is. The address is at the bottom of the screen. Please join us. If you're a regular, please join us. It'd be lovely to see you all. But if you're new, if you're watching and you'd like to chat, it would be really nice to meet. It's always nice to meet new people. Please join us. And we do little breakout rooms, so don't be intimidated by thinking you're going to see loads and loads of people. Be lovely to see you.
And birthdays, Ruth?
Have we got any birthdays?
Kevin, do we have any birthdays coming up?
Michelle?
I know Michelle, I think's got a big
Michelle's
day.
got a really special birthday.
Michelle, happy birthday. Anyone else? Alison, that was a joke, wasn't it? Facebook said Alison's birthday was last week. She had loads of birthday wishes, and she must have put her wrong age into Facebook. Don't tell Facebook. Shh. Do we have a birthday song for all those birthday people?
Hey kid, I hear it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
So, Sandra and Richard, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. You can't hide from us. We know it's your birthday. So, I think we'll move on. And without further ado, we have Mark Greenwood, the Elim Director of Evangelism, talking. And let's listen to this with open hearts and open minds and see what God has to say to us.
Hi there, my name is Mark Greenwood and I'm so excited to be with you today, especially as we are just days away from starting our Cornwall-wide Alpha online. We're so excited about this day. There's been lots and lots of planning and it's here. Gosh, these things come around really, really quickly. So I'm going to be hosting. As I said, my name is Mark Greenwood. I have the joy of being the national evangelist for Elim Pentecostal churches. And for those of you who may be listening today who are not familiar with church words, the word evangelist means someone who brings good news. Imagine that. Imagine your job being somebody who brings good news. And I'm really excited about Alpha and taking us through hosting the sessions along with other great people as we journey together. But I wonder whether you've ever found yourself in life where you've had to change your mind about something, or have you ever had to change your mind about someone? Or has anyone ever changed their mind about you? Have you ever been in that place where maybe somebody has made up their mind about you, but what they've made up their mind about you is very far from what you're really like? And it's like, no, you've misunderstood me. You've made your judgment about one tiny experience. Oh man, it can be so heartbreaking. Well, I guess in this world, if we're really, really honest, we all face times, don't we, where we just have to change our mind. We find out a new piece of information about something or someone, and we have to prepare to go and say, do you know what? Maybe I didn't quite get that right. Anybody who knows me knows that one of my kind of favorite kinds of humor really is kind of true life stories. Those are my favorite. I'm not really massively into jokes, although I do like a good joke from time to time, but I do love finding out things, true life stories about life, and I've come across quite a lot of them. For example, there was a museum in County Durham in the northeast of England, and it had to stop displaying a coin from the Roman century, the 2nd century AD. It was a Roman coin, and they suddenly had to stop displaying it. And that's because a very young boy, a 9-year-old boy, correctly identified it, not as a Roman coin from the 2nd century AD, but actually a plastic token given away by a soft drinks promotion. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, how did those people feel who'd been coming and seen it and go, wow, look at that Roman coin from the 2nd century AD. How beautiful is it? How did they feel if they suddenly discovered, oh my goodness, we've been conned all along? Would you agree that sometimes in our world and in life, things aren't always what they seem? I read another story very similarly of how jubilant experts thought that they found a 1,000-year-old Viking settlement buried in a back garden, and for days they carefully peeled the ancient slabs away with the dirt and pulled it away. And then the truth was suddenly revealed. It was a sunken patio that was built in the 1940s. I mean, oh my goodness, how on earth did they feel? All that effort, all that time wasted, all because they thought it was something, but it turned out to be something very, very different. Imagine the disappointment. I'm sure there were some people that lost their jobs over the patio incident and the plastic drinks promotion token incident, all because they were convinced or they thought it was one thing, but actually on closer inspection, they began to realize it was something very, very different. Has that ever happened to you? Maybe not quite that extreme. I think most people's perceptions or understanding of the Christian faith is actually a misunderstanding. I often say to people, look, before you reject Christianity outright, have a closer look, because if it's possible that things aren't always what they seem, which I think most of us would agree is the case, is it possible that what you thought Christianity is, that maybe it actually isn't? And when you're rejecting Christianity, you're rejecting what you think it is rather than knowing what it is. And I believe you can only really make a decision in life that's got integrity when it's an informed decision. And you can only make an informed decision when you investigate. One of the reasons we across these churches called Elim, across Cornwall and online, are running Alpha is because it's an opportunity to investigate. In fact, the guy who kind of produced Alpha and who will be speaking on many of the DVDs is a gentleman by the name of Nicky Gumbel, who was a barrister, and he was convinced that Christianity was a complete waste of time, that it was irrelevant, and that actually it was boring, and that actually it was untrue. And it was his own investigations with his analytical lawyer mind that helped him to realize he'd never really looked into it. And when he did, he discovered that Christianity was real or was true. I wonder where you are on your journey of life and faith. The French have a thing called an amuse-bouche. And I don't think they quite say it like that, by the way. But amuse-bouche, up north, where I come from, means exciting your gob. Basically, it means to get your mouth excited. And an amuse-bouche is something that you eat before you go, even before you're started into a meal. I'm sure you've had similar things like canapes and that type of stuff. And at the risk of showing my ignorance of French high cuisine here, we'll stop here. But essentially, the idea is that you have an amuse-bouche. It gets your mouth ready and excited for the main course that's just about to come. I wonder whether maybe you're here today as somebody who maybe isn't a Christian. You're not a Jesus follower. And by that, we mean somebody who's not committed to living their life God's way and following him and embracing his forgiveness. But you are interested. But I wonder whether maybe you might have been possibly put off as you've tasted something of what Christianity is about. Rather than it being an amuse-bouche that gets you all excited and wants you more, maybe it's put you off. And I want to encourage you to just be prepared to put that to one side. Because if I've discovered something in life, it's this, that sometimes you have to be willing just to move something to one side because you may have misjudged it or seen a bad experience of it. And if that's you, we want to invite you to come along. It might be that you've connected with a church online, a service, and you've just begun to think maybe there's something in this. We'd love to invite you to come along and to listen to all the films. There's going to be 6 films in total, and I want to encourage you to do that. It might be that you're listening here today and you're already a committed Jesus follower. You are a Christian, and we would love to encourage you to invite your friends, maybe your friends who've maybe made up their mind about Christianity. Maybe they've had some bad experiences. Well, we want to make a promise to those of you here listening. Listen, please invite your friends along. People have been connecting with God on Alpha and having all kinds of incredible experiences in the season that we find ourselves in. And we want to make a promise that we will not leave a sour taste in the mouths of your friends. We will be an amuse-bouche. The brilliant thing about Alpha is that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people across the globe, and even during COVID, have found it a brilliant way to investigate faith. You can trust us with your friends. We're uber sensitive about people and the journey of faith, and we want to make a commitment to you saying it's all about a journey of faith, but it's a journey that you and I can invite our friends on. It's not too late. Alpha's starting very soon, but it's not too late to invite your friends on a journey. I wasn't brought up in a Christian home. In fact, my mum went to a very strict religious school, a very strict school where it was kind of rammed and forced into her. And that kind of put her off anything really to do with the Christian faith or to do with religion. My dad was someone who classed himself as a lazy atheist. And what he meant rather by that is he decided there was no God, but he couldn't really be bothered to find out whether it was true or not. I mean, it's a brilliant description, isn't it? A lazy atheist. Until one moment in his life, he was a sub-aqua diver for a hobby, and he was diving in the Red Sea with his very dear friend, Steve Tetley, who had a heart attack underwater. And they rescued him. They took him to a military hospital, which basically resembled a concrete slab under a tent. And the doctor there cut off his wetsuit and looked at him, examined him, and turned to Dad and his friends and said, "I'm really sorry, but there's nothing that we can do for him." Now, my dad was a very hard emotional man. He was brought up in a very hard working class Victorian legacy family, and you weren't allowed to cry. In fact, the only time he cried, he got smacked around the head for crying. He had a broken collarbone, well, not because of the smack, but that was why he was crying. And so he bottled up a lot of his emotions. But at this moment in time, with his friend, his best friend, his dearest friend, he had this moment where, as he wept, he said to himself, there has to be more to life than this. Than this. What is the this? Well, he reflected that there has to be more to life than simply being born and then dying and then not really anybody remembering you apart from a chosen few, or a few rather, in years to come. Surely there has to be more to life than this. And I think during this global pandemic and during COVID-19, many people are thinking, what is life really all about? Because actually the things that we trusted in, the things that we built our lives upon, they've just been gone, haven't they? And we've begun to really refocus on what's meaningful. There has to be more to life than this. I want to suggest to you, there is so much more to life than this, than what we think. And I don't know where you are in terms of your life, whether life is really great for you or life is really bad for you. And I want to suggest to you that if life's really, really bad, Christianity is worth a look, because it's about a life that can be transformed and changed. Investigate, look into it. You might be saying to me, Mark, my life's great, quite frankly. I do think it's true that you never miss what you haven't had. I do get that. But my ethos in life is, why not have it if it's up for grabs? And I've met so many people who have given their lives to Jesus, and they've said, if I'd have known it was like this, I'd have done it much sooner. Wherever you are in your journey of life and faith, I want to encourage you to try Alpha, to look into it, because maybe the claims of Christianity, maybe the evidence of the life of Jesus, if that is all true, then as C.S. Lewis said, it can't simply be moderately important. It's either of no importance if it's wrong, or if it's true, it's of absolute importance. Why don't you be prepared to go beyond what you might have thought Christianity was and have a closer look? If you're already a Jesus follower, why don't you invite lots of your friends to come and investigate? There's a great sentence in the Bible that I absolutely love, really, because it kind of connects with me. And it's using the analogy, really, of food and God. And it says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Taste and see that the Lord is good. We've got an opportunity to invite people to taste and see, to have an amuse-bouche, to look into, to investigate Jesus by coming on Alpha. And if you're listening today and you've never ever looked into the Christian faith, why don't you do that? Why don't you begin to taste and begin to see? I said right at the beginning that I love true stories, and I shared one or two of them with you. One of my all-time favorites is how there was a chef at a hotel in Switzerland, and he cut his finger on a meat cutting machine. You know those that sometimes you see are used in fresh meat shop counters in butcher shops, that somebody put a big slab of meat on and they move this kind of turning blade, and it makes this kind of whoosh, whoosh sound as it slices the meat, and you're kind of twitching like that a little bit. And this chef was cutting his meat, and he cut off his thumb on the machine. Sorry if you're of a slightly nervous disposition. Well, they put an investigation claiming once he jumped around and cried a bit, I'm sure. And the insurance company suspected negligence. And so they sent one of their investigators down to see for themselves. And guess what happened? The investigator cut off his thumb on the same meat cutting machine. And this report, or this incident, was reported in a local paper, and the end of the article simply said the chef's claim was approved. Why? Because the investigator came and experienced for himself what the chef had claimed to be true. Why don't you come along to Alpha? Investigate for yourself whether what Jesus claims and what his followers claim is true. Come and find out for yourself. There's a couple of people in a story in the Bible, and it says when they were having a little bit of a chat with a lady who'd met Jesus and had kind of gone and told them her story. And it says that many of them believed because of her story. It's a group of people called the Samaritans. But they came to see her at the end and they said, look, we don't just believe because of your story. We have found it out for ourselves. We've come and we've looked, and now we believe for ourselves, not just because we've heard. Why don't you come along and investigate for yourself? Don't go off what other people say, but come and listen to whether Christianity is authentic, genuine, and real, and whether it's something that is worth investing your life in. We'd love to welcome you to Alpha Online with a bunch of churches across Cornwall. My name's Mark Greenwood. I'm going to be there hosting, and I can't wait to meet you. Thank you so much for listening to me chat to you today.
That was great. So if after that talk you would like prayer, you can press the prayer button. I know that we've had banners going across the screen doing that invite, but I just want to invite you again. Perhaps you would like to become a Christian this morning, and you can ask for prayer. There might be a button for you to hit, I want to become a Christian. If not, doesn't matter, just ask for prayer. If you're on Facebook, you can message us and ask for prayer. Maybe you just want to ask for prayer that God would be with you in your journey. After hearing that, you might want to be doing the Alpha course, and you just want to perhaps pray, God, if you're there, if you're real, I want to take this journey seriously, and I want you to show yourself to me, to make yourself real to me and to my mind and to my heart, so that I can choose to follow you. So that's almost it this morning. So thank you so much for joining us. But we do actually have our Mark Thesinger back again to lead us in another song. We won't see you after that, but we can see you in the Zoom meeting if you want to join us. And so this song will probably see us out of the service. So thank you so much for joining us. Come and join us at Alpha. Invite your friends. God bless you all. Mark, can we have Mark?
This is my desire to honor you, Lord, with all my heart. I worship you. All I have within me, I give you praise. All that I adore is in you. Lord, I give you my heart, and I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I give you my heart, and I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm away. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, I give you my heart. Lord, I give you my heart, and I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm away. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, I give you my heart, and I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm away. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, we pray that you would have your perfect way in us all today, Father. So, Father, we want to thank you for your perfect will for our lives. We want to make a choice to follow you, Jesus. Have your way in us, Lord.